What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the You Tell Me Football Podcast. My name is Anthony, and I'm flying solo today. Usually, I have Ginty with me. We're kind of going back and forth, but it's just me. We have a lot to talk about. I was planning on recording this video last night, and I decided to wait because I was thinking, got the US men's national team playing in the evening. They got the women's team playing early in the morning. And who would have known that Harry Kane over here would just, not show up for work on Monday? Isn't that nice? He gets to kind of take a day off, maybe, So we have a lot to talk about. First thing I want to talk about is the men's team. The U.S. men's national team defeated Mexico in extra time to win the Gold Cup. And I've got to say, I was surprised and excited. This is the second cup that the men's national team has won this summer. And I have an apology to make. I owe an apology to Greg Berhalter. When he was hired, I wrote him off immediately. I considered him to be a made man, right? He's played for the men's national team. This is just like an MLS guy. Is he really going to be for the good of the men's national team, or is this just more of a, hey, he's going to, just be a company man, And what he has been able to do over the course of his tenure is reinstate a belief in me. And so I owe you an apology, Greg. And I just want to say I am sorry for not believing in you before. And wow, you have really made me excited. I know, these two cups were huge this summer, and then it's World Cup qualifying, something that we failed to do back in 2018. And so this is huge. And I feel like there's a lot of hope and a lot of great expectations for this awesome group of players and potentially this guy moving forward. So to win over Mexico twice is in the finals with a cup on the line is no small feat. And so, Greg, I just want to say that I'm sorry. I want to show this picture of this man. This is really cool. I don't know. I just found this article on the Ringer, and I just thought this was a great little artistic representation of the guy. And like I said, I owe this guy an apology, Greg. I'm sorry for not believing in you sooner. Now, another thing I wanted to touch on was maybe it was surprising. I wasn't totally surprised. The women's national team was knocked out by Canada. Just briefly here, the U.S. women's national team was knocked out of the Olympic gold medal contention after losing 1-0 to Canada in the semifinal on Monday. There was a second half penalty that was converted, and I believe one of the Spurs women is on the Canadian team, and so there's some connection there for those of us that are Spurs fans. And I don't really have a ton to say about this in terms of like. I can't say that like I follow them super, super closely. But I had some concerns with their very first match in the group stages when they were shut down. And so props to Canada for bringing it. And I think it makes me wonder, what kind of happens moving forward. You've got a lot of big names in this team. And there's a lot of off the field stuff going on with the women's national team and things like that. And just makes me wonder in terms of focus and things. What's next for this group of players? Obviously, Spurs signed Alex Morgan, and that was super exciting as an American Spurs fan. But it'll be interesting to see. So I was like, I'm going to wait and kind of just maybe I'll talk a little bit about that. But I think there's been bigger news than that. If you're a Spurs fan in particular, and I just want to say, the You Tell Me Football Podcast, we usually kind of cover a broad variety of topics. We haven't talked about Spurs a lot, and we've told you that we're going to be covering Spurs here and there, as Ginty and I both are Tottenham fans. Obviously we have our other, respective clubs, for me, Detroit City, and for him, it's Celtic. Celtic's been off to a rough start. not being able to make it into the Champions League and then suffering their first loss. So I'm sure Ginty will have some things to say about that. But the other big news, I mean, this is surprising in some ways, at least to me. Let me share this thing here. Here it is. I mean, more surprising than the women's U.S. women's team was Harry Kane did not show up for training. Didn't show up for training. If you are a Packers fan, if you like the Green Bay Packers and you're a Tottenham fan, I do not envy you this morning. You got Aaron Rodgers not showing up to preseason, and here you go. You got your one and only Harry Kane not showing up either when he is expected to be there. Now, there's all sorts of, different people saying, why he wasn't there. In fact, I just quickly listened to, oh gosh, I'm forgetting the name of it. Alistair Gold and Rob Guest's, I think it's Golden Guests podcast, which, by the way, if you haven't checked that out, you totally should if you're a Spurs fan. Very, very interesting stuff. But yeah, even Fabrizio Romano was out here going, confirmed Harry Kane is not showing up for training. Been told that it's Kane's choice, not related to the COVID test. And here's just the interesting thing. Kane is assuming that he had a gentleman agreement with the club since 1 year to leave Spurs this summer. That's just kind of confusing to me. It makes it sound like Kane had some sort of, or was under the assumption that there was some sort of gentleman's agreement last summer that he could leave. I don't know what that means. If maybe it's because of Champions League or Europa League. Now we're in the Conference League, right? So I don't know if that's what this is about. And who makes a gentleman's agreement with Daniel Levy? I don't think Daniel Levy is the kind of person to make a gentleman's agreement. I think Daniel Levy is kind of like, well, we'll see until we sign, So I'm really surprised. I shouldn't say I'm really surprised. I'm somewhat surprised. I figured, Harry hasn't said a lot. He's been pretty quiet after the season into the Euros and things like that. And so I had this feeling that, some people have said play hardball, which, by the way, I'm really surprised that playing hardball is like a phrase that is used in English press. So if you're English or British, explain that to me, because that seems like a baseball reference. I know you guys are like into cricket, and so maybe it's also a cricket reference. I'm not sure, but we got hardball and softball over here with the baseball. And so they were saying Harry Kane is playing hardball. You tell me. It's the name of the show. You explain it to me. I need to figure it out. But yeah, I just a little bit surprised that he's willing to go to this length, because I don't think it's actually this is not Tottenham's problem. This is Man City's problem, in my opinion. Man City have to, put up the cash or put up value enough to make Tottenham bite. The guy has 3 years left on his contract. He's the playmaker of the year. He is the Golden Boot winner. He's captain of England, right? You're talking about a homegrown player. All of these things add up. You're talking about potentially close to 100 million for Jack Grealish. Bro, that's another 50, 60, 75 million for the Harry Kane. And I know I'm biased because I'm a Spurs fan, but I also just feel like Harry is he's not maybe considering this is Man City are the ones that have to find a way to make this happen. You got 3 years left on your contract. And to in some ways it seems like demand that the club you're leaving take less for you. Yeah, that is the part that's surprising to me about this whole situation. And so Fabrizio was, came out again and said, Tottenham insists they want to keep Harry Kane after turning down $100 million bid a month ago. Kane wants Champions League football. Don't we all? Spurs change. If Spurs change their position, Man City will be ready to reopen talks. But that's the thing. It's like change the position on what? You know, he is what he is. You're asking a club that is in a much more fiscally deprived place by comparison to City. And yeah, I just think City got the money and we got the player. So let's make a deal, make it happen. And then he mentions, while Tottenham are still working to complete the Cristian Romero deal. So want to touch on that a little bit briefly. One thing that I have been excited about with bringing in Paratici is that there's actually been some movement since before deadline day. And so I just want to pull some of this up. As of right now, our ins, we've brought in Galini and we brought in Brian Hill. And obviously he's at the Olympics playing for Spain. But yeah, it's really, I feel like we're starting to address some of the actual needs, which most of the people I would talk to is getting rid of the dead wood or the rot, right? That have been here since brought in the Pochettino era and haven't left yet. And some of that is starting to happen, right? Danny Rose left on a free. Still, I don't know personally how I feel about that. Just bummed how that ended. Sterling Foyth has left. That's a center back that has left. Lamela has gone. That's how we got in Hill. And that's another part of this too. I think Eric Lamela is almost he's a guy that you've just seen around here since literally Bale left. So to see him go, the last of the what is it, the Fabulous Seven or Significant Seven or whatever it was, I can't remember right now. Yeah, it is a little bit of an end of an era, start of something new, and then we're there was another loan today. So bringing in Romero, right, as a center back, one that's not on here is Toby Alderweireld. And I'll be honest, when Jan Vertonghen left, I did not think the next center back to leave would be Toby. But that's how it's happened. I would have expected Sanchez or Dyer. If Foyth is a good one. But yeah, I just felt like Toby, Toby surprises me because Alistair Gold pointed this out as well. Toby had a $25 million release clause that nobody took, which is really strange because I feel like he's a decent defender. And even now, when they were trying to move him on, he's ended up in Qatar. And it's just surprising to me. I know he's a little bit older, but maybe I'm just not seeing I overvalue him or I overestimate him. But I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comment section. Like, how do you see Toby Alderweireld? Do you think going to Qatar is like, yeah, that's what's best for him, or that's the only league or that kind of level of league that's good for him for his future? I don't know. I felt like Toby had more to offer. Certainly maybe not to Champions League sides. I don't know. But in and around some of the conversation of quality teams in Europe. So I was a little surprised by that. But I'm happy to see players are moving on. Players are coming in. We're addressing, with Romero, hopefully getting done. I'm not believing any of the rumors until it happens. Even with Paratici, right? That's not even Levy. Paratici and the management issues that we had with Fonseca and things like that. Until I see the signed contract picture or the shirt being held up, until that happens, I'm going to wait and see. So I'm feeling good about Romero. If we could, get a couple more outs, not Harry Kane. That but Sissoko. I've heard a bit of a rumor. There was a Graham Roberts tweet that said that mentioned that Sissoko might be leaving. Serge Aurier is another one that I think it's time to go. Harry Winks. I can understand why the guy wants to try to prove his point or make his place in this squad. But personally, I just feel like it would be better for him and it would be good for the club to move him on as well. So yeah, there's a good number of moves that could still be made. I think Steven Bergwijn might actually move. Ginty, I'm sure, will be super excited about that. Personally, I would love to see Stevie B get one more chance to prove himself. And but yeah, so lots of transfer rumors and things like that. And actually, the You Tell Me Football podcast has a bit of a transfer rumor as well. We're looking to maybe make an acquisition to the team. So be on the lookout for that information. By the way, if you haven't already, you should totally get into our Discord server. There'll be a link in the description down below. Join our Discord server. It's where we connect and talk about all the different leagues and things that are going on in the world. And there's also a Spurs section as well. And we would love to have you be a part of that. When we do live streams, we'll put some questions in there and you can answer. You can send in audio clips and things that are just a way more interactive. And that's what we love to do around here. So we talked about Romero. The guy was a Serie A Defender of the Year. So I think that would be an incredible signing for us. Hopefully kind of nail down, at least in the center back, a solid defender that we aren't like cringing at and hoping doesn't make another mistake. I think the right back position is a question mark. Rumors of Jeff Tanganga going out on loan. How would we bring him in? Who would we bring in? I'm sorry. To kind of fill in for Serge. There's still a lot of questions. One thing I will also say about Paratici, I am, hearing about how he's got like 10 different players in the works for each role, and he's always on his phone, he's a workaholic and all that stuff. One thing that's really interesting about how he works, obviously he's working for this Romero deal. Romero is technically a Juventus player and would have to be, I think, double sold and then sold to us. And while they are trying to get a replacement for Romero, one thing that's super interesting for Atalanta, right? Like Paratici, because he's got all these other deals going, it's actually pretty smart, right? To be able to say like, well, if you're looking for a center back replacement, I've also got this other deal over here. If you guys give me this guy, you guys could, this deal is already starting to move through. You could just kind of, take it and work with it. It's really interesting to think through how those deals are done, especially when you've been a Spurs fan for so long. And it's just like, you're waiting until deadline day with your fingers crossed that we don't sign Musa Sissoko, but we actually sign, someone that's going to be helpful to the team and hit the ground running. But yeah, so much going on there. But I just wanted to talk about a few of those different things and get something going. I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments. What do you think about Harry Kane, not showing up? Do you think that tarnishes his image? Do you want to sing he's one of our own less? Or do you think he's well within his rights to kind of dig in his heels a little bit, even with 3 years left on his contract? Like I said, personally, I think it's a little too much. If he had 2 years left on his contract, I can maybe start to understand why he's saying like, hey, look, I want to go. But there's just, no one forced him to sign anything previously. And then what do you think about these incomings and outgoings? Are you excited about the potential of Romero? Do you think that's actually going to happen? Or do you think this is, not going to get across the line? We've seen that happen so many times. Tell me your thoughts about the transfers. Tell me your thoughts about who's in and who's out. And even if you want to talk about, U.S. men's national team, Mexico, that was a huge rivalry to get that win. I would love to hear from you. So, Miss Ginty today We're going to get them next time. We've got some interviews that we've got in the works to have some conversations, introduce you to some more people like Reedy and the Footy 5 and some others. So keep on the radar with us through the Discord, through Twitter. And like we like to say, as ever, it was great talking with you.